everyone, I'm Ian. I suppose it goes without saying, but a decade is a really long time. A lot can happen in 10 years.
The world changes, art changes, the music changes, and we as a people change. A decade is the ultimate representation of the passage of time, perfectly encapsulating an entire world all its own within the frame of those 10 solar revolutions.
Now, a decade can mean different things for different people. Obviously, time is relative. 10 years is not all that much to a 70-year-old, but I am 22. Nearly half my life was spent in the last decade, and I spent a frankly uncomfortable amount of that time playing Sonic the Hedgehog.
But I mean, can you blame me? This decade was insane for Sonic fans. The franchise is known for its inconsistency, but these 10 years were truly a roller coaster like no other, with highs and lows and mehs.
What I'm really saying is that things were kinda up and down and all around. So let's take a look and see how this decade was for the Blue Blur as a whole, starting from the very beginning.
Sonic got off to a good start in the 2010s with the release of Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1.
No, wait, come back, I swear I can explain.
Sonic 4 Episode 1 is a game that personally I rather enjoy, though the use of old stage tropes is something that I will never be a fan of and the physics aren't incredibly unsatisfying. It's still a cute, fast-paced little adventure platformer that has some very fun level design that at least tries to capture the feel of Sonic 2's flow and variety of level paths. Also, critics didn't hate it. That's very important.
Yeah, I don't really want to get too in-depth with this here because it's actually a topic I want to give its own dedicated video later on, but to put it simply, the last decade, not too kind on Sonic's reputation.
And I mean, that's not entirely the fault of the critics of the time. With missteps like Shadow, 06, and Secret Rings, it's not really surprising that there was a certain level of bias against the series, even as games such as Unleashed and Black Knight, flawed as they were, did try to fix things.
But Sonic 4 was generally really well received by critics for harkening back to the Genesis games. Kind of. Something they've been really begging for since the release of Shadow the Hedgehog, and hey, that was great.
Fans were definitely a lot less impressed, with most finding the rehash level tropes to be lazy and the physics to be insultingly inaccurate to the older games. But regardless, it did do enough to make the public find the Sonic brand interesting again, and to make the next game in the series worth looking at.
And it was worth looking at, apparently, since the next entry in the series, coming out a few weeks later, was Sonic Colors for the Nintendo Wii and the DS.
Yeah, I know Colors isn't exactly the most beloved game by all at the moment, but when it came out, people were incredibly excited about it, and for good reason. It was a Sonic game that was, objectively speaking, pretty good. Perfect? No, not at all. But not only was it a massive step in the right direction for the series, but it was also proof that Sega and Sonic Team were listening to us, the fans, about what we wanted for the Blue Blur. All of this applies to the Wii version, by the way. The DS version is just as good, but I feel like people always like the handheld Sonic games. Anyway, I know that as time has gone on, fans have viewed Colors in a more critical light, and yeah, it does do some weird stuff. It had some really short and simplistic level design, and the ratio of 2D to 3D gameplay was skewed way too heavily to the former, but that doesn't change the fact that it's a well-made game that won the hearts of critics and fans alike. Between it and Sonic 4, all signs were pointing to Sonic being a respected series again. In just 1 year, Sega managed to take what was a laughingstock of a franchise and got people to turn their heads in interest again. All they had to do was not fuck it up with the next game, and Sonic could truly be on the way back to his former public glory.
And they actually didn't fuck it up! Now, this was a big deal, because the previous anniversary game was Sonic 06. Tough act to follow, I know. But yeah, 2011's Sonic Generations was very well liked.
I don't really think I need to go into depth with this. Generations was great. The modern Sonic levels in particular are some of the very best examples of 3D Sonic to ever be programmed, and classic Sonic was a lot of fun too. But what really stuck with me was the presentation. The game felt like a true love letter to the franchise in a way that I had never seen from a video game before. It felt like I, as a fan, was in on something special. All the winks and nods and references and remixes. It was fan service dialed up to 11, but it never felt obnoxious. It was the very first time I ever felt my fondness for Sonic truly making me be part of something greater, a member of a real, honest-to-God, heartfelt community that only wanted the best for our little blue fuckboy.
And I definitely wasn't alone in that. For the first time that I could personally remember, everyone was super excited for the next Sonic game. And then the next year, Sega released Sonic 4 Episode 2, and nobody cared.
No, seriously, it left almost no impact on anyone. Fans hated it less than Episode 1, critics liked it less than Episode 1, and after Generations, it left much less impact than Episode 1. It was fine. People didn't care. What people really wanted to see was what the next real Sonic game from Sonic Team would be.
Enter the biggest game changer of the decade for the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, the Nintendo Wii U. Yeah, bet that wasn't a twist you were expecting. But yeah, Nintendo and Sega signed an exclusivity deal for Sonic games to appear on only Nintendo consoles. 3 games, to be exact. One of those was an Olympic game, so who cares? But the other 2 are definitely more interesting, starting with the official follow-up to Sonic Generations, Sonic Lost World. This one was very weird.
2013's Sonic Lost World was definitely an odd direction to take things in. I actually really like it, and I know I'm not the only one, but in general, this was a much more divisive game. Slower gameplay, Mario Galaxy-inspired level design, generic level tropes, gimmick stages, the Deadly Six. Lost World isn't exactly a return to the Dark Age in the eyes of fans of critics, but it was definitely a weird mixed bag to a lot of people, and generally, it's agreed that this was a big step back from Colors and Generations. Also, the 3DS version totally fucking sucked, but whatever.
So that's not exactly a great position for the franchise to be in during this very delicate stage, right? Like, yeah, did it completely kill all the hype and momentum that Generations, Colors, and, the 2 kart racers I just realized I didn't put in the script? Was it enough to kill all the hype surrounding those games? No, one mixed bag wasn't enough to do that. But this kind of was.
In early 2014, Sega introduced us to Sonic Boom, a new sub-series that was meant to run parallel to the main Sonic franchise to appeal to a second, younger audience. And it's an experiment that failed so horribly that it wasn't even funny.
That's a shame, because in concept and to a limited extent execution, I actually really like Sonic Boom as an idea.
After the controversial new character designs were slowly accepted by fans, and we saw the first trailer for the game, people were generally pretty excited. Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric for the Wii U was looking like a pretty cool new adventure game. The 3DS counterpart Shattered Crystal seemed fun, and the cartoon show looked great. Well, the cartoon show was really great, and I'm glad it's generally pretty beloved by fans because that praise is well deserved. This has one of the best on-screen representations of the Sonic cast we have ever had. The writing is hilarious, the delivery is flawless, the amount of love that went into the production is so evident in every second of every episode. Too bad the same can't be said for the games. I haven't even played Shattered Crystal, but Rise of Lyric, yeah, it's Rise of Lyric. Even after the massive post-launch patch, the game is a broken, glitchy, ugly mess that, when you look past all of that, is a perfectly average platformer that, while harmless, does not live up to the name of the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. Also, as I said, it's ugly and glitchy and broken and generally very unpleasant to play. This game, it sucks.
And boom, just like that, just realized the pun there. Just like that, Sonic's reputation, which was on a steady rise, right back to being total shit. Absolutely murdered it. Damn you, Sega. Damn you, Big Red Button. I know this is technically a spin-off, but that really doesn't matter. Sonic needed another big hit game, especially after Lost World kinda didn't quite hit the mark for most people, and instead what we got was a glitchy, unpolished, nearly unplayable at launch mess, with a mediocre to below average 3DS counterpart. That is not the kind of misstep the franchise needed at that time, and quite frankly, yeah, Sega kinda let us down on that one.
On the plus side, Fire and Ice on the 3DS was pretty fun. Not enough fun to redeem the Sonic Boom franchise in the eye of the public, but it was a pretty good game. It's a fun, quick, underrated little gem of a 2D platformer that I think ends the Boom franchise on a good, if not exactly distinct, note.
But yeah, no, Boom was definitely a fuck up. After that, the Sonic franchise kind of went under the radar for a little bit. People were definitely curious about what was going to come, but it was clear Sega needed some time to do some restructuring and rethinking. In the meantime, things were a little quieter. Sure, the Twitter got really big and started putting out really funny memes, but aside from that, we weren't hearing a ton about the franchise.
At least not in the world of new games. There was still plenty going on with the franchise elsewhere. There was that weird fan film with the nostalgia critic in a gun uniform that everyone just, tries to forget. In addition to that, the Archie comics did some pretty cool shit. They continued running the main book and the Sonic Universe spin-off, crossed it over with Mega Man a couple times, which was really, really cool, and even ran a pretty cute Sonic Boom comic. Then they canceled it all and gave up the rights.
Yo, what the hell? The Archie Sonic comic had been around nearly as long as the games themselves at that point, so missing that was definitely pretty big for Sonic fans. However, that void was fortunately not there for very long.
Yeah, IDW picked up the rights, and let me tell ya, it's pretty damn good. It's all set in a new continuity that's a lot closer to that of the games, though there are still some cool original characters thrown in. Goodbye, Sally, Antoine, and Bunny, and introducing Tangle and Whisper. These two are precious, I love them. And hey, we got some digital game re-releases too. We got the worst ever version of SA1, seriously, I hate this port, as well as a pretty passable version of SA2, widescreen is nice. Sonic the Fighters is here too for some reason, but without a doubt the most important of these ports was that of Sonic CD. Formally introducing the retro engine to the world of officially licensed Sega games, the newly crafted port of Sonic CD came out in 2011, and holy shit, shit, it was amazing. It took what was once the weirdest and jankiest of all the classic Sonic games and made it, well, it's still pretty weird, but the jank is all gone thanks to the incredible talents of the taxman himself, Christian Whitehead. This is easily the best way to play Sonic CD, and after partnering with Stealth, the team went on to give the same treatment to Sonic 1 and 2, though, only on mobile devices, unfortunately.
I think you guys know where this is going. At a birthday party event at South by Southwest in 2017, Sega released the trailers for 2 new Sonic games, Sonic Mania and Project Sonic 2017, which was then renamed Sonic Forces. Then the games came out, people were very excited, and I think you know the rest.
Mania is fucking fantastic. This game, developed by Taxman and Stealth using the retro engine from the classic ports, is probably my favorite 2D Sonic game, and I don't think that's a particularly unique opinion. Much like generations before it, this game is a love letter to the franchise that will give any Sonic diehard chills, and although the reuse of classic stages was pretty irritating once again, the presentation and design more than made up for it, and critics agreed. Mania is one of the most universally acclaimed games in the franchise, and among the public, it was equally beloved. Sega did it again by harkening back to what made Sonic so great in the first place. They salvaged the wreckage of Sonic Boom and gave fans massive hope for years to come.
And then Forces came out.
Look, I actually like this game, but yeah, much like with Lost World, I think I'm in the minority on that. Look, I already did a review on Forces like a year ago, so I'm not gonna go too in-depth here, but most of this game just did not live up to people's expectations. Although the custom character creation stuff was generally really well received by fans, the stiff controls and incredibly basic level design left 3D fans unsatisfied, while literally nobody liked classic Sonic in this game, which is especially offensive when it came out a month after Mania.
So yeah, people didn't really like Forces, but honestly, that didn't really matter.
Yeah, the game might not have lived up to people's expectations, but it wasn't bad, as much as it was just kinda mediocre. It played much worse than the likes of Colors of Generations, but it was no Sonic 06 or, more importantly, Sonic Boom. Mania was still fairly fresh on people's minds, and at least to me, it seems like people were fairly willing to forgive Forces since Mania was there to calm people down, and generally, I think 2017 ended with people feeling pretty good about the Blue Blur, which is awesome. 2018 was comparatively quiet for Sonic fans, with the most notable events being the release of the excellent Sonic Mania Adventure Shorts to coincide with Mania's equally excellent Plus DLC that added yet more fan service, while 2019 featured yet more amazing animations to promote the release of another Sonic racing game I own but won't play. Welcome to the club. After that, Sonic almost ended the decade with this.
Fortunately, they delayed the movie, brought Tyson Hesse on board to redesign the character, and now it's looking pretty great. At least I hope. It's a kid's movie, who can really tell? At the very least, Sonic and Robotnik look like a lot of fun, and that's kind of the only thing that matters, really. But yeah, that's looking like a strong start to the 2020s for Sonic, and man, how wild were the 2010s.
Definitely quite the roller coaster, wouldn't you say? Starting with a redemption, then a fall, then a second redemption. You know, most franchises wouldn't get that many chances, but with Sonic, it's just different. People are much more willing to forgive this series, and for good reason in my opinion, because in the end, there's nothing quite like Sonic. Even the best Sonic clones never truly capture the magic of the series. A good Sonic game is always something truly special and unlike anything else.
And yeah, honestly, from compiling all my thoughts, that's my main takeaway on Sonic's decade. It really goes to show just how incredibly special and unique this franchise is. Or maybe I'm insane and the 2010s fucking sucked for Sonic, I don't know. If you know, let me know in the comments down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, because that really means a lot to me, and subscribe. The channel's been growing a good bit lately, and that really just warms my heart, so love to see that continue, and if it doesn't, definitely hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and have a fantastic new year. I'm LyingTuna, signing out. See you later. Bye.